Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to understand political sociology approach. In the last lecture, we tried to understood structural functional approach, and before that, we understood systems approach. Right? Both the approaches were given by behavioral political scientist. One was given by Easton, other was given by Almond and Powell. Right? Very scientific, very technique based. There were some deficiencies with respect to the systems approach, and those deficiencies were tried to solve by structural functional approach by Alman and Powell. That was behavioral types of behavioral approaches to political science, to comparative politics of systems approach and structural functional approach. The next approaches we are going to see are the three interdisciplinary approaches, right? Interdisciplinary approaches. So what are interdisciplinary approach, right? What is interdisciplinary approach? What is interdisciplinary approach? Interdisciplinary, it means that there are multiple disciplines which are going to be used in a particular analysis. Multiple disciplines going to be used in a particular analysis, right? So political approach is going to be there, political discipline is going to be used, sociological discipline is going to be used, economical approach is going to be there, economical lens is going to be there. That is the idea. So multiple approaches, multiple lenses will be used to understand the same topic, right? Interdisciplinary, multiple disciplines are used to understand are used to understand a particular analysis. So political sociology approach, right? Political sociology approach. So we are trying to understand politics through sociological factors. Impact of sociological factors to on of functioning of political system. Impact of sociological factors on political system. Right? Understanding politics through sociological factors. That is the idea. Impact of sociological factors in functioning of political system. That this is what political sociology approach is all about. Right? How sociological factors affect political system. That is the idea. Who influenced political sociology approach or who started with a political sociology approach? We have to see that is origin of political sociology approach. Of course, it is going to start with Aristotle. Aristotle. Aristotle, how he used uh, political sociology in his analysis through his theory of revolution, right? In a particular that how a particular political system will be used in a particular situation, and how a particular political system holds up in a particular situation. Who who among social factors are going to be in political sphere, that who will be masters, who will be slaves, and how they will be influencing political system, was given by Aristotle in his theory of revolution. Then there is theory of inequality as well. Theory of justice is theory of justice. Theory of inequality or justice. In his theory of inequality or justice, you can see he is talking about how inequality is going to lead to revolution, how injustice happens when you treat equals unequally and equals unequally and unequals equally. That is the idea. So again, very sociological analysis of politics, that how politics will work, who among the social factors, among the social vectors dimension are going to participate in political sphere. That was the idea of Aristotle, right? Then you can see Machiavelli. Machiavelli has two books. First is Prince, other book is Discourses. In Prince, Machiavelli say that monarchy with absolute authority is the best kind of system, right? And in discourses, Machiavelli says that if people are virtuous, republicanism can be extended, right? If people are virtuous, the particular system can be republican. Then there is Mill. Mill has also said that with respect to people, what kind of system should be there. So J.S. Mill, J.S. Mill, there is this very famous quote of J.S. Mill whereby he says that for barbarians, monarchy is the best kind of system for barbarians. So for colonies and for colonies, he says that democracy is not free gift to be distributed. So he is making distinction of what kind of political system should work in a particular social scenario. He makes that distinction on basis of people. So again, how sociology impacts politics, that analysis was taken into account. So J.S. Mill says that democracy cannot be introduced anywhere. It should be introduced when people are virtuous, when uh, people are reasonable, people are rational. So again, all these three people give sociological account of how politics should work, right? They make distinction between people, and they make distinction between societies, and on basis of that analysis they will suggest that there should be a particular type of political system in that society, right? This was the original work with respect to political sociology. Then political sociology changed in modern times. Political sociology in modern times. Political sociology in modern times. So there is, of course, Karl Marx is there. Karl Marx is there. Karl Marx gives base superstructure model of society, right? He mentions classes and class struggle as well. He mentions a class polarization as well, right? All this concept in some or other way, in some or other way, gives sociological analysis. How these give sociological analysis, that Marx says that society works in a particular way, right? He calls this society a mode of production, right? A mode of production. So for Marx, society was a economic machine on base of which there is economic base, right? So what Marx is basically trying to say that society which is economically divided, that drives politics, right? Again, you have to understand every concept that I'm saying in a this way. right? Some scholar will say something about society, how this analysis of the society impacts the political system. That is the idea, right? That is the political sociology approach, right? As Marx was saying, society is base and superstructure. This base and superstructure leads to class polarization, class struggle, and revolution in the end. That is the idea. So, society which is class divided, society which is divided on labor and relations of production, such society will be driven in a particular direction with respect to political system, political development. How political development happens in a society as explained by Karl Marx, it was on basis of classes and class struggle. So, right, society is divided between classes. When the polarization between these classes is on its maximum, then there is going to be a class struggle and revolution. That is the idea. So, again, how society is there and how such a class divided society will do political movement. Right, Karl Marx. The analysis of Karl Marx was taken forward by Gramsci. The analysis of Karl Marx was taken forward by Gramsci. Right? Gramsci gave idea of hegemony. He gives idea of intellectual class. Right? Intellectual class. He gives idea of legitimacy. He analyzes church, schools. Right? So again, elements of society like church belongs to religion, right? Church belong to religion, school belong to education system, school belong to socialization, right? Gramsci gave analysis with respect to intellectual class, church, and schools. They are not political elements, right? They are not political elements per se. Civil society is not political element per se, right? When we do sociological analysis, they are not really political elements. Church is not a political thing, it is a religious thing. Religion belongs to world of society. School is not a political thing, school is a sociological instrument of socialization, right? Again, very much related to society. How these factors impact political system, that was analyzed by Gramsci, and that is exactly the political sociology approach. Elements of society, how elements of society affect affect the political system. That is the analysis, right? Then there is Max Weber. Max Weber. Max Weber, if you remember in theory of power, Max Weber gives theory of power and authority. Max Weber says that there are three bases of power, or there are three elements of power. There is social power, right? There is social power, there is economic power, and the third one is political power, right? So what Max Weber is basically trying to do is give sociological analysis of power when there is social power as well, there is political power as well, and there is economic power as well. So what he does is basically divide the basis of power into three factors, of which one of the important factor is political sociology. That is the idea. So what Max Weber or Weberian analysis with respect to politics and political science, it is an alternative. It is an alternative to Marxist approach. What is Marxist approach? We have just seen, right? We have just seen whereby Marx says that society is society is a relation of production. It is a mode of production, and there are classes and class struggle, right? Society is like that. When society is like that, and it is mostly economically divided society, that is the Marxist approach. When there is economically divided society, relations are economic and revolution is going to be economic as well. So economic analysis of society and such analysis of society applied to political science, right? Weber, on the other hand, gives alternative to Marxist approach, whereby Weber calls Marx or Marxist approach to be monocausal. What is monocausal? Monocausal. Monocausal is basically saying that you are limited to only one factor of cause and effect. We have seen the primary criticism of Marx when we understood Marx, thereby you must have understood this criticism of Marx by Karl Popper, right? Karl Popper says that in his book, Open Societies and Enemies, that Karl Marx is a enemy of open society because he is a foundational thinker. Why he is a foundational thinker? Because Marx limits himself to only economic analysis. For him, economy is the primary factor on which history moves, on which socio-economic phenomena moves. So, so Marx is economic determinist. He says that there is only one factor on basis of which history moves, socio-economic phenomena moves, and which is economy. Right. So he is very much monocausal. He is very much limited to one factor of cause and effect, which is economy. Which is economy. One factor of cause and effect, which is economy, and he is monocausal. Right. This monocausality was criticized by and given alternative to by Max Weber in his book Protestant Ethics and Spirit of Capitalism. Protestant Ethics and Spirit of Capitalism. Right? So, what is Protestant ethics and what is spirit of capitalism? Right? What is Protestant ethics and what is spirit of capitalism? What what idea the Weber is trying to convey here? Everything else, economy may not be the base. In his book, Protestant Ethics and Spirit of Capitalism, right? He has shown role of religion role of religion in evolution of capitalism. How he has shown this, it is not really important. We just have to understand for now. We just have to understand for now that he explained a socio-economic phenomena through a religious lens, which is a sociological factors, which is a sociological factor. He used a sociological factor to explain a economic phenomena, right? So so and we also have to understand how he used sociological factors to explain political phenomena as well. What Weber does, what Weber Weber challenged challenged class polarization of Karl Marx. Weber challenged class polarization of Karl Marx. What is class polarization? Class polarization basically saying that when capitalism is at is has its peak, highest stage, there are only two classes will remain which remain. First is capitalist class and second is worker class. This is class polarization, whereby a particular society, a particular political system has only two classes, capitalist class and worker class. Weber challenged class polarization of Marx, and he suggests Weber suggests proliferation of middle class. What is proliferation? In Hindi, you say फैलना, right? फैलना. How middle class got proliferated? How middle class got expansion? Proliferation has synonym of expansion or extension. How middle class expanded or how middle class extended, right? Weber Weber against class polarization of Marx suggests proliferation of middle class, expansion of middle class, right? Again, how do you understand this? How do you understand this? You understand this by understanding the word class. Class is a sociological factor which Weber used to make us understand why revolution does not happen, right? He has used a sociological factor to make us understand why class polarization does not happen, because with capitalism there is proliferation of middle class, there is expansion of middle class, right? Right. Then again, he has used political sociology approach in another one of his theory. We have studied Max Weber in authority and legitimacy. Right? Authority and legitimacy. In his concept of authority and legitimacy, I will say, what is authority? Authority is power plus legitimacy. Right? What is legitimacy? It is support or consent of people to be governed, right? It is consent of people to be governed, right? With respect to authority and legitimacy, he has given one important distinction with respect to societies. He has said, if society is traditional society, then in such traditional society authority will be charismatic. If society is modern society, authority will be legal authority. Of course, I have to explain this. Traditional society. What is a traditional society? Traditional society, let's assume India. India is a traditional society. India is a traditional society. There, if in India I have I have good oratory skill, I can be a good politician, right? If right there is, I will give one example. Recent Bihar elections happened. Bihar election, and Bihar is a very traditional society. It is a very traditional society. The the people or the MLAs who got selected or elected in the Bihar assembly elections were were people who were from their local film industry, were local singers who have a lot of charisma behind them. Right? They are very charismatic. They have riz. Right? So in traditional society, if if you have a lot of charisma, then you can get elected. You can get authority. Right? You can get authority. But in modern society, let's say Europe, let's say Europe, and more mature Europe, right? Let's say Germany or France. In Germany or France, where people are mature, people realize what is good for them, what is bad for them, who will be able to govern me more, govern and who will listen to me and give better solutions to me. In modern societies, people are rational. I am not saying Bihari people are irrational, right? I am not saying that. I am just saying that Bihar is a traditional society. In modern society, in modern society, people are rational. They understand what issues to vote on and what issues not to vote on. So, in a modern society, people will prefer such people who are competent in legal terms, competent in policy making terms, competent in execution terms. Right? So, in traditional society, there is charismatic authority, and in modern society, there is legal authority. Right? Right? This political sociology approach, right? Again, this is political sociology approach in action. Political sociology approach in action. Where is sociology approach of comparative politics used in academics or academia? Right? What are major approaches? First major approach is socio-political formation of modern state. Second major approach is social inequality between groups. Right? I will explain this, don't worry. Third major approach is power relationship within and outside social groups. Power relationship within and outside social groups. So political sociology approach in action, right? Socio-political formation of a modern state. How modern state is has been formed due to socio-political reasons, right? How social reasons form modern state. Let's say uh, slavery. Slavery as an issue in America, it was a social issue, but that social issue led to civil war and led to formation of modern America, right? So a social issue led to formation of modern state. Then where political sociology approach is used, it is in academics where it is used, right? It is used in understanding social inequality in groups, right? Social inequality between groups, whereby you see studies by Indian political scientists like Yogendra Yadav, or there is very famous scholar which writes in Indian Express very regularly. There is Dinesh Kuber and there is one more guy which I'm not able to recall his name, but these people do analyze uh, inequality between caste. They conduct surveys and all those things, and they try to understand how social inequality has translated in political inequality, right? So this is also a major area of research. Then power relationship between within and outside groups, right? Within caste, how power relationship work, outside caste, outside social group, how these social group interact with each other, right? Power relationship is also a major area of research, right? We have to also, in if question comes, we have to give it India touch, whereby we will mention prominent scholars in India. There is, right, just remember their name, they are going to be very useful when we study Indian government and politics. There is Andre Bete. His analysis on caste is very insightful. There is Christophe Jeffrey. He has analyzed rise of BJP. He has analyzed RSS. He has analyzed the Indian party system to some extent. He has also analyzed Ambedkar and his view on caste as well. So he had a good rapport with Gail Omwith and her husband. So they used to um, conduct research with respect to caste studies, and they used to conduct research with respect to Ambedkarite thoughts. So the study of Jeffrey with respect to Bahujan Samaj is very insightful. His work on Ambedkar is very insightful. Then there is Yogendra Yadav. Yogendra Yadav, I feel, is one of the biggest political scientists in India without a doubt. Electoral behavior. Yogendra Yadav and his study on electoral behaviors. You see exit polls, you see opinion polls, they are also a part of political sociology approach. So, right, we were studying theories in WPT, but here in comparative politics, we are very academic, very application based, right? You are realizing what we are studying, I guess. Then where it is used, right? Caste is analyzed in political sense. Then how BJP, RSS has RSS is not really a political organization; it is a social organization. Then Yogendra Yadav has analyzed how electoral behavior across caste lines and caste lines, and uh, and caste line, religious lines affect how women also act as a factor in elections, right? So very how sociological factors affect political system, right? These are very big scholars, very frontier scholars in political science, in political sociology approach in India today, right? We have to understand, we have to understand uh, where is political sociology today. Political sociology today, it is a specialized field. It is a uh, specialized field, right? It is a specialized field. So it is used to understand politics of societies which lack constitutionalism, right? Very one line has a big meaning behind it, right? This is a very simple line, but it has a deep meaning behind it. What political sociology approach is useful in, right? What political sociology approach is useful in, like in developing states, you see a lot of laws get made, a lot of constitutions get amendment and all those things, but how they are implemented is another story, right? It is not really implemented. So in such societies which lack constitutionalism, right, which lack adherence to constitution, adherence to values of constitution, you have to look at social factors and how they affect politics. Constitutions become important in understanding developing societies, right? Because they lack constitution. That is why political sociology comes in. That is where political sociology comes in the picture. Then we have to understand dangers of including sociology in political science. If you include sociology in political science, the identity of political science becomes unclear. The identity of political science becomes unclear, right? Political science becomes unclear. Political science can become a subsidiary discipline of sociology, right? If we keep all of our analysis through social lens, then political science will itself become a sub-discipline of sociology. So, or subsidiary discipline of sociology. So, so we should not continue with this approach because it has that danger. So, what political scientists did was political scientists again got away from political sociology approach, right? Political sociology has become a hybrid discipline. Today it has become hybrid discipline whereby both sociology and politics becomes important, right? Right. So right, when political scientists started doing a lot of analysis through sociology, sociological lens, the political scientists got got what you say insecure with the way research was happening, and got insecure that political science may lose his identity. And because there was this danger, people like Thedorus Koppel begins with the motto or the or the slogan that we should bring the state back in, and she says that we should bringing the state back in political science, getting away from sociological approach. This was sociological approach to political science. I hope you understood this. From the next lecture, we'll start with other interdisciplinary approaches. We'll start with neo-institutionalism and political economy approach as well. Thank you so much. I hope this